to lie. Living with a little less, being thankful for whatever's left taught me how to get by. Losing a first love to my best friend, wishing the best for them taught me how to go blind. You never know where life lessons hide, but baby, when you said goodbye, you taught me to lie and say that I'm fine, like I don't feel nothing. You don't cross my mind. I'm better off alone. I'm happy you're gone. The two of us together always felt wrong. I'm just saying things I don't mean, like I'm happy now, I'm finally free, looking everybody dead in the eye, telling them that I've been alright. You taught me to lie. Being stubborn when I know I'm wrong, burning every bridge I ever crossed, taught me to swallow my pride. A man like me might need more time, but you only had to say one goodbye. You taught me to lie and say that I'm fine, like I don't feel nothing. You don't cross my mind. I'm better off alone. I'm happy you're gone. The two of us together always felt wrong. I'm just saying things I don't mean, like I'm happy now, I'm finally free, looking everybody dead in the eye, telling them that I've been alright. You taught me to lie and say that I'm fine, like I don't feel nothing. You don't cross my mind. Taught me to lie and say that I'm fine. You don't cross my mind. I'm happy you're gone. Always felt wrong. I'm just saying things I don't mean, like I'm happy now, finally free, looking at everybody dead in the eye, and telling them that I've been alright. You taught me to lie.
Waters of Freedom with your hosts, Matt Wright and Mohammed Shaker.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Mohammed, I still wet the bed Shaker. I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom. Welcome back, buddy.
Welcome back.
I know. What's it been? It has been a long time.
It's like a month.
Yeah, it's been a month. That's
Because the last show was the beginning of December. It's the beginning of January.
true. Yeah, it's been just over a month now. First and foremost, let us thank Low Tide Kava Bar for the kava that we drink during our show.
Yeah, thank you, Justin, for working Saturdays.
Thank you, Justin, for working Saturdays. I'm guessing he did not write.
He did.
He wrote that?
Yeah. I think he's mad with us.
Why?
So he just wrote bullshit and white supremacy.
And white shit. All right. Bullet. So our last show was our anniversary show. And then we went on hiatus.
Yeah, there's just a lot of scheduling conflicts.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was out of town.
It was honest scheduling conflicts literally for a month. Just because I started working Saturdays for like 3 of those Saturdays.
And I was out of town for 2 of them.
Yeah.
So, it
But it was a necessary break.
So, yeah, right. So let's catch up on what we've been doing for the last month. Like, I was in San Diego and I went to DC for Christmas. How was your? Do you celebrate Christmas? I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. How was your Christmas?
It was good.
Good?
I celebrated at the place that I go to that you don't go to.
Oh, that place.
Yes.
Got it.
It was awesome.
Right. Got it. Yeah, I was at my parents' house. So I was also at the place that you don't go to.
Yep.
Because it's in Virginia. It was cold.
Mountain roads.
Not West Virginia. Yeah, it was cold. When I left Virginia, and this isn't even as cold as it got there recently, but when I left Virginia, it was 20 degrees.
Yeah.
And then I got here and it was 65.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is great. And
Yeah.
now I'm freezing here again.
Yeah. When I was in the Army, I used to, when I got myself acclimated, I would walk around in like 30-degree weathers and flip-flops and shorts.
Yeah.
It was really fun, and it was like a show-off thing, like just showing off that I can do it. It was really dumb.
Yeah, when I was living in Nashville, I would wear hoodies, like in the coldest weather, and it didn't bother me. Like just regular thin hoodies, not anything crazy. And now it's like down here, it gets to 60, and I am layering like I was a 6-year-old in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
It's crazy now. I don't understand it, how I'd become such a sissy to the cold weather down here.
Well, last week I was at Bula, and we were doing the movie nights on Monday. I'm always there Monday and Sunday.
Yeah, I know.
And that was when it was like 46 degrees. I think the first time it got to that degree of cold here. That's when the fake video came out where the guy was saying that there was snow in St. Petersburg.
Oh, yeah.
And even the Tampa Bay Times and like weather channels and stuff commented on. They're like, "That's not snow."
Right.
When I saw it, I was like, I've only seen snow in North Carolina, like just snow that lands and becomes water and then ice.
Right. I know that well.
Yeah, but like I was like, I don't think it's cold enough for that at all. It was 46 degrees.
No.
I even asked people around me that were like from up north. I was like, "Is it cold enough for that?" And they're like, "No, it's got to be like at least 37 degrees with high precipitation."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Yep, this guy's a liar."
Yep. Yeah, so I was going through some old photos of myself because I'm that narcissistic. And I found a photo from like 96-ish or so. And it's of me shoveling the driveway. And I am leaning up against the snowbank. I was out of school for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was great. I remember those 2 weeks. I would walk to my friend's house because he lived like half a mile away. So I would walk in 2 feet of snow over to his house. And then we walked to like Blockbuster, which was only like another half mile from that. And rented videos. and then went back to his house and just kind of hung out there for 2 weeks. I don't even think I went home. I would just call my parents and I'm still at Dave's. I'm like, do you need clothes? No, I'm fine. You've been wearing the same clothes for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. My dad's like, no, it's probably not because you're a teenage boy and that's disgusting. But yeah, how was your New Year?
This is a regular day.
Regular day? Didn't do anything?
I don't treat it as anything.
No?
Nope.
Yeah.
There's no point.
The only point in treating it like it's something different is just for an excuse to go hang out and party.
Yeah, I was at Bula.
Yeah, right.
But like, because people were like, "Hey, Mohammed, what's your New Year's resolutions?"
Oh yeah, no.
And I was just
I don't
like,
do that.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I think it's cool and it's fine that other people choose that day to try to better themselves, because not everybody, even if it was on a regular day, that's not New Year's. See, some people are like, as of today, I'm gonna fix something, and they still won't go through it. So
no.
New Year's Day isn't just the day that people decide to make a list and not go through with it. That happens any time of the year. But I don't like New Year's being the day. Like, it's just a day.
Right.
Like, we randomly chose the birth of Jesus to be the beginning of the calendar, basically.
Right.
I think that's how that works.
I
Before before Christ, Anno Domini, the year of the Lord. I think that's how it works. It's that arbitrary. So
right. I don't know how they decided that January was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Well, it's not specifically his birthday. Obviously,
right,
we don't know when that is.
May.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how. So I don't do New Year's resolutions. I do when I want to try to change things. I like to wait for February or March when all the people who did New Year's resolutions have given up.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can start fresh in March and be like, okay,
mm-hmm.
they're already done.
Yeah.
They've given up. The gyms are now empty again. I can start going back, which I'll do for, a week, and then I'll stop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I went over to Adam's house and they had a bonfire and just hung out there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. My only New Year's resolution. Okay, I lied. There's one New Year's resolution. I'm trying to put this behind in my memory.
I swear.
I need to forget about.
You're such a dick.
The Last Spaceballs.
You are such a dick.
Star Wars: The Last Spaceballs.
Whatever. You like Star Trek, which has emo.
Not an
Spock.
argument.
You have emo Spock.
Not an argument.
The emotionless Vulcan who cries in every episode, who gets angry. No, that's not Spock.
If Stefan Molyneux is listening, not an argument.
If Stefan Molyneux is listening, I've got so many other problems I've got.
Yeah, he was really good back in the day.
He was good back in the day. And
then
he went Cantwell crazy.
I discovered these concepts a week ago that I didn't know were a thing. I heard the term sophistry before, but I learned what that was from him and what postmodernism is.
Mm-hmm.
But the sophistry one is the one that really stuck. I don't like either postmodernism or sophistry. Sophistry is the worst. Sophistry is basically when people knowingly or unknowingly, it could be either or, it's not an accusation, it's just that they knowingly or unknowingly make emotional based non-arguments, so it's like a logical fallacy, and really it's to make you feel bad, to get you to not argue or stand up for something that you believe in, like comparing Trump to Hitler is a form of sophistry, because that would make you feel bad about supporting Trump, for example, because why would you want to support somebody that's like Hitler?
Right.
That is a form of sophistry. So, and he's got a 30-minute video on both, and I'm sure he's got others that even go more in depth than that one. And yeah, I like watching a lot of his older videos.
I do agree with that. That people will automatically go for the emotional argument.
Yeah.
I was having we'll call it a debate with somebody recently, and I was being referred to as selfish and manipulative. Not gonna say that person was wrong. I mean, duh. But I was like, okay, if you want to argue logic and reason on this, we can do that. But the moment you argue anything emotional, I'll be able to turn it right back around on you. And she was like, you're being selfish. I was like, okay, well, so are you. She's like, you're being manipulative. So are you. And then she gave an anecdotal story in order to prove her evidence. I was like, people who use anecdotal stories are just being manipulative.
Yeah, but I understand why anecdotal evidence is worthless, but I don't know if it's too worthless either. Because, I've made anecdotal evidence.
Right. No, and I get that. But I think in a lot of cases, that when people are doing anecdotal evidence, personally, I think that, and this is just going to be a number that I'm tossing out, 75% of the time, they just made that shit up.
I see what you're saying.
They just made it up, and they're like, oh, well, so-and-so did this when blah, 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 and that really hurt my... Yeah, no, that was a lie. Like, I don't even need to see your face. You just made that up because you need something to make you feel... To strengthen your argument. Yeah. If you can't do it just based on actual logic and reason and why I am selfish and manipulative, then, come on. Like, it's not hard to prove that about me. Like, you don't need to, tell a story about your father.
Because, my anecdotal evidences that I've used have, I think 100% of the time been in, when people would post, a lot, there's that study poll that they did, and I don't know much more about the study other than that it happened and what some of the results were. And they polled Muslims around the world. And a lot of these Muslims had some very extreme views of the world. And people were using that to justify that Islam is an issue. And, I know those Muslims exist. But I didn't know how to really research. I don't know anything about polling methods. I didn't know what their sample size was. And then my anecdotal evidence was my family, friends, and people at the mosque that don't hold those views. So I'm just like, well, how worthless is anecdotal evidence when it comes to something like that? And I haven't come to a conclusion on it, but I'm just like, well, my anecdotal evidence is true to me at least. So it's. I think that you know what I'm saying.
I think that a lot of the personal opinions that we have on things such as different political ideals and stuff like that comes from anecdotal evidence. But you can't use the anecdotal arguments as your arguments. You have to have actual arguments to back it up.
Yeah, and I of course,
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll get into it right here, but it's everybody's getting all up in arms about Jeff Sessions.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Star Wars.
Where's my knife? I'm just going to stab you on the air. I'll still put the video out. I do not care. I'll say that there was a Muslim terrorist in my home.
We both have different opinions on it. I'm trying to goad him into talking about it, but it's okay.
I'm not going to. I don't care if you like the new Star Wars movie. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
But I don't. I dislike it.
I know you don't like kids. I know that. Everybody knows that. The people who watch us are all friends with you on Facebook. They know you don't like it. Except for the high number of people in San Francisco that watch us. And thank you to all of you out there in San Francisco.
When we went to the employee dinner, Sean, who's the owner of the place I work out of every now and then, was like, I heard somebody doesn't like the new Star Wars. I was like, fuck, my job is now on the line.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I stood my ground. Oh, well.
Let me know how unemployment is.
Yeah.
Welcome to being with me.
But yeah, we can go into the show.
So okay, Jeff Sessions.
Can we start with this one first?
The Oregon one?
Yeah,
Sure.
because we can also introduce.
You want to introduce him?
No, no, that's you.
Well, right, but
I like him. No, that's you.
Okay.
I don't know much about him.
all right. So as of nobody really does. So as of the beginning of the year, this isn't anecdotal, but as of the beginning of the year, Oregon changed their law, and now people are responsible for pumping their own gas.
Yeah.
And you would think that the world is ending in Oregon. I keep getting
on that one video, where they talked about it. I know some of them were like tongue in cheek, but some of them really did look like people were actually mad.
Oh yeah,
it was like God, what's the? It was like the Marshas, came out. The Marsha being the serious older middle-aged woman.
Oh, okay.
Like talking about how this is gonna affect her safety and all that, and I'm just like, no, that's a Marsha. She means what she's saying. She really thinks that this is gonna hurt people.
Yeah, like so there was that there was
Sorry, Marsha, if you're watching.
Right. To all the Marshas out there. Marsha.
Yeah.
There was that post, and it was like from ABC in Oregon or something like that, and it was like angry face for no and thumbs up for yes or whatever, whether or not, and it had 13,000 comments on it. I don't know how many of those comments were real and how many of them were fake, but oh my God, that was gold.
Yeah.
That was pure comedy gold, because they had, I'm 62 years old and I don't know how to pump gas.
Mm-hmm.
Have you never left Oregon? Have you spent your entire life in this one little square? You never went to Washington or California or anywhere else around there?
So I'm assuming this is a form of deregulation, right?
Yeah, it's a form of deregulation.
So is it, because what it looked like that it may have been like deregulation into regulation, because if they're not banning it, which that didn't seem to be the case as far as I can tell.
It was only in certain areas.
Okay. Because I was like, just make the gas station owners responsible for if they want to do it or not.
Right. And I think that's what it is. It's like, I think that the law said
you have to use attendance.
You have to use attendance.
Probably. Yeah.
And now it's, you don't have to, and you can say pump your own gas.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that is kind of how that law. I need to actually look more into the law.
That's probably true though, because I mean, I'm sure anybody that would have the choice would probably. That's one less person you need on the payroll, and it makes honestly a lot of sense to get rid of them unless you allow them to charge below the minimum the state or federal minimum wage,
right?
To like have teenagers do it for like $6 an hour or something, which there'll be plenty willing to do that.
Well, I mean, I think Oregon's minimum wage is like 10 or 15.
Well, I mean, it's all those West Coast,
right?
Those 3 West Coast states are higher than everybody else,
right?
So
I mean, you would be paying somebody $10 an hour, to fill gas
exactly,
tanks.
yeah.
And yeah, like a lot of the arguments I did see on it where people need these jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying for that job, right?
Yeah.
That goes into how much you pay for gas. You understand that, right?
And if not that, is it? Yeah, I mean, it's either that or how much you pay for the stuff inside.
Right.
That's actually, from what I remember reading, that's actually how gas stations survive. It's not the gas, it's the stuff they sell inside.
Right. But
the gas taxes and all that.
But for anybody who doesn't know yet, we have a new correspondent here at the Muddied Waters of Freedom, and he did his first video on Oregon yesterday. And his name is Mason Jefferson. He's I've been told that he looks like a mix between Bernie Sanders and Hans Hermann Hoppe.
Really?
With purple hair.
Yeah.
You can see him in the back.
Oh, that is?
Yeah, yeah, he's sitting right back there.
He does look like a Hans Hermann Hoppe.
Yeah, Spike Cohen, who has hosted co-hosted with me on this before, has
spot on.
Yeah, he said he was like, "Is he supposed to look like Hans Hermann Hoppe?"
That's
and
funny.
I just started laughing. I was like, "No." But watch for videos from that guy right back there if you can see him. He does have his own Facebook page, so go and like it. It's Mason Jefferson. But yes, he talks like a 1940s announcer.
Yeah.
Hi there, Mason Jefferson here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good.
Thanks. That was what boredom did for me over the last few weeks. I created that guy. So be on the lookout for him. Share his videos. They're supposed to be meant for kids, but adults seem to like it. And kids.
Yeah, he told me it was meant for kids, and I was like, I fucking loved it. I think adults could watch this.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote
because if you take out like cussing and freedom tunes, it would be for kids.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and so yeah,
100%.
Good.
Yeah, and I came up with the idea for that a while ago, and then I just never followed through with it. And now, since I had all this equipment that we weren't using for a month, I was like, well, screw it, I'm just going to make one. And the Oregon thing just seemed perfect to start with because it was so idiotic. But yeah, so yeah, be sure to look for more videos.
And actually, since this isn't live, we can put the link to the YouTube video in the description when we upload this on Facebook.
Upload this on Facebook, yes, we can. But yeah, so anyway, Oregon, get your shit together.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the video? Somebody was like, people pumping gas in Oregon. It was the clip from
just gas going everywhere.
Zoolander.
Yeah, I've never seen Zoolander, I think,
okay.
But yeah,
and they're just spraying gas.
Yep.
Yeah, that made me laugh very much.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jeff Sessions.
Oh, and what cracked me up was like some girl left her. I don't remember where she was from, but she like drove through New Jersey or something, or Oregon, because both of them do this. And she thought she was about to get assaulted because this guy just came up to her window to pump her gas. And she almost stabbed him. I was like, yeah.
Which is funny because I was in Oregon last February, and I don't remember like we pumped our own gas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like we drove around a lot, so we pumped our own gas. I think like if you get out and you just do it, they weren't gonna stop you.
Yeah.
Like those people are getting paid. Who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, like when I found out you couldn't pump your own gas in Oregon, last week, I was like, huh. We did.
Yeah.
Oh well. But yeah. So speaking of Oregon and their legal weed, which is no longer legal weed apparently.
Yeah.
Jeff Sessions. Okay, and I disagree with what Jeff Sessions did. For anybody who doesn't know, Jeff Sessions overturned some Obama-era regulations saying that the feds won't go after states with legal weed.
Yeah.
And now he's like, no, we're going to do that.
Yeah, he's telling them they need to, basically.
Right.
Was that an Obama-era regulation?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was an Obama-era regulation.
Yeah.
He did something good. But so Jeff Sessions has that overturned, and of course, all the states who have voted to legalize it are flipping out.
Yeah.
As they rightfully should, because there's that amendment number 10, which is the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively. It's on my mug for anybody who didn't know that. It goes away when it gets hot.
Yeah. Does it?
Yeah. Yeah, the 10th Amendment guarantees that because it's not mandated by the Constitution that they get to make those laws. And Jeff Sessions is going, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. I'm from the South.
Yeah.
Screw you. I'm going to do what I want. And then I'm going to go make cookies. Because he looks like a Keebler.
Yeah.
And obviously libertarians are very upset by this,
Mm-hmm.
as are pot-smoking Democrats
Yep.
and liberty conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
And the only people I know who are okay with it are the extreme right-wing conservatives.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
the social
The
conservatives.
social conservatives. And I actually did talk to a friend of ours yesterday, one of our loyal listeners, who said that if we didn't have a show today, he was not going to listen to us anymore. So we're doing a show.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that he thinks that this is a good thing.
No.
Right. I agree with that.
Was his reasoning, this is going to force the congressman to do something?
Yes.
That's so stupid. Whoever you are. Sorry.
You know who it is.
Oh, okay.
You talked to him last night.
Oh, okay, yeah, because he did say that on my post as well.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah. I disagree with that.
I
disagree with that.
It's still an assault on the 10th Amendment.
It is an
no
assault
matter
on the
what
10th
the
Amendment.
intention is.
Right.
And the thing
I
is...
don't think that we need to decriminalize it federally. I think if you want to keep it federally criminalized, like make it so you can't get federal jobs if you use it. Like,
oh, yeah.
totally okay, fine.
That's not okay for even private business owners.
Totally fine for private business owners.
If anybody,
business.
yeah.
I don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the Fed should not be going into California or Colorado or Washington
or anybody, really.
Right. Yeah. And
that would be the perfect case scenario, is not doing anything.
right. Well, I was just trying to name off the places it's legal. And, like, raiding these dispensaries and, like, arresting the teenager that works there. Because I've been in a few. They're all teenagers.
Yeah.
I wish I had that job when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like, now they're threatening to go in and raid. And, you know, our friend was saying, yeah, they're going to go in, they're going to do a couple raids, but it's going to be for the greater good because then they're going to decriminalize it federally. And I was like, no,
they're not,
one,
though.
they won't.
They would have. The thing is, they would have already. They're
Right.
not. It's not up.
They can do that now.
It's not up. You're holding those few states that use their 10th Amendment and their state legislatures with their state representatives and their state senators and their voting. You're holding them hostage to the other 40 states that, or maybe 30 something states now,
Right.
that have not legalized it and won't. Like the Oregon, Colorado, all these state legislatures voted on this. It's their job to handle what's in their states.
Right.
And it's the jobs of the Florida people to handle what's here in Florida, and it's the jobs of Alabama to say never ever will we do this.
Right.
That's just how it is.
And it's like, okay, Washington obviously has free weed. Not free, legal.
Yeah, but that's still not Congress.
Right. No,
that's their.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I got to keep going. But Idaho is right next door, and they don't have legal weed.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, since I went to a wedding in Idaho last year, that you can drive literally 5 minutes across the border and get weed and then drive back.
Mm-hmm.
I know that because I did it.
Yeah.
Because it was legal.
Yeah.
But is that for Idaho to go, hey, they can't have legal weed because we don't have legal weed? No, absolutely not. That is, you can arrest people who have weed. I think that's idiotic, and I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
But because you don't have legal weed in your state, you can do that. But you can't say, Washington, you can't have legal weed.
Yeah.
And you can't use Jeff Sessions to force that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Idaho's doing any of that. It's just, I just know they don't have legal weed, and Washington does.
I mean, yeah, and I just don't agree with the concept that holding some states hostage to the rest of the country is a good thing, because that opens up a can of worms of anything. Taxes, guns, abortion, all of that is now on the line of these few states do it this way, so let's just have the federal government go extremely one way so we can force the Congress that isn't going to do anything to do something.
Right. And Arizona's got not strict gun laws, right?
No, they're not strict.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah, from Texas all the way to Nevada.
Right. But yeah, like so Arizona's right there near California, and California's got strict gun laws, and it's like, oh no, Arizona, you have to tighten down your gun laws because people are going over there and getting guns and bringing them back.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That would be idiotic. If I was Arizona, I would do the same thing. That like if they said, hey, California, people are going over there and buying weed, so you need to tighten down on that. I'd do the same thing. I'd give them the finger and I'd be like, no, screw you. I'm not changing my laws for you.
Yeah. And still, the only argument that matters is this isn't constitutional to begin with.
Right. It's not.
Just not. They shouldn't have to vote on something that isn't their job. It just should be a state thing. That's why I don't agree with it being a good thing. At all. I don't think so.
No. I do. I mean, there are certain laws that are pretty much nationwide. Mm-hmm. Every state has them.
Yeah.
Don't murder, don't rape, don't kidnap. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are pretty much the only ones that really need to go across borders.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, anyway, like that's when you go, okay, now you guys can go in and do this.
Yeah,
cyber hacking, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if Florida decides that we want to legalize everything, and if anybody needs help writing that bill, I'm down. If Florida decides that we want to legalize everything and have all drugs legal here in Florida, that should not be on Georgia or Alabama or whatever other states are right above us to be like, no, you guys can't do that because then our meth heads are going to just drive down there and pick up their cocaine and heroin and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Sorry, Alabama, that's...
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. And it gets into the topic of fucking Kava and Kratom,
Right.
Like, some states... Well, most states allow it. Some states don't.
Right, so, okay.
And parts of states, like Sarasota down here.
Yeah, Sarasota doesn't allow it.
Should we force them to allow it? Should we force other people to disallow it?
Or should Sarasota, since they're right next to us, force us to not allow it? Because
exactly.
People are coming here to buy it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I go to Tennessee pretty often. I've got a bunch of friends up in Nashville. Kratom's not legal there.
Yeah.
I don't travel with it. Or give it to my friends up there. But should they say, sorry, like you travel here, so like Florida shouldn't have kratom because we don't want to run the risk of you bringing it up here. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You don't want it in your state? Fine, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. It's your state. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. And
if you catch somebody with it, you can arrest them. I disagree with it, but that's your law, so...
Exactly, yeah.
Right. But here in Florida, we have it. We can use it. We can sell it. We can buy it.
People can move. That's honestly a thing. People can move. People have been running away from New York and New Jersey over taxes. They can move.
Right. And then they're moving to states like Virginia and North Carolina and changing them.
Yeah. Mainly here. That's why I think we should deport them. But Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania,
Chicago, Illinois,
New York, all of you people go home. Sorry. Even though some of you are my friends. I'll never change my mind on it.
Yeah, I get that.
We should build a wall.
We should build a wall just for right along. Like, we leave northern Florida. We'll just take everything from Orlando down.
No, I like northern Florida. FSU's up there.
FSU is up there.
And South Alabama's up there.
South Alabama is up there, but the people from the north aren't moving there. They're moving down here.
Yeah, that's right.
They're moving to where it's even warmer.
Yeah, but but those people moving from the north are here over taxes, not over weather. In my opinion, most of them are here for the taxes.
They're here for the tax breaks and the weather, I think. I think it's both. I think that if...
Probably both, but I still would highly think that...
I would bet that if New York had no state income tax, a lot of them wouldn't come down.
If New York what?
Had no state income tax.
None of them would?
A lot of them would not come down.
Oh, then we're on the same page. It's mainly taxes.
Right.
Because Canadians don't stick around for too long. They just come for the weather and they just go back.
Yeah, that's true. There's a few Canadians that I've known that are down here. Well, I guess I do know.
Well, there's a bunch of them on the street there, low tide.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's just a ton of Canadians hanging out at the Kava bars.
Yeah.
I think it's because kava makes you cold, so it reminds them of home. But yeah, like no matter what, states should have the freedom in order to make these laws themselves. Hey, if the DEA wants to say, "Hey, that's a Schedule 1 drug," that should just be like, "Hey, that drug could probably be harmful."
Yeah.
But if you want to sell it in your state, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, because also what happens...
We should also just get rid of the DEA. Don't get me wrong.
Definitely, yeah. But no, what happens too with like the whole Jeff Sessions thing, the reason to this is like this, because the way legalization works is, and Obama has actually let this happen during his term, even though this is an Obama era regulation that let this happen, is the DEA still does raids in all of the legalized states. But what Jeff Sessions is saying is he's basically co-opting state resources, because how legalization works is the states basically don't give the resources to the federal government to use the police, the prison system, and the court system to catch, convict, and house people that are in possession of marijuana.
Right.
That's pretty much how legalization works when it comes to this stuff. Aside from like the other regulation stuff, I'm not talking about that, like how you're gonna sell it and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like how the state itself regulates it when it comes to it being okay in the state. Is they're saying we're not going to use our police officers to catch people with marijuana to then try them in our courts to then put them in our prisons.
Right.
So what the federal government has to do is they do the raids still, but they do it themselves. And the federal government is, numbers wise, is a lot smaller really than the rest of the country combined.
Right.
So like those few couple tens of thousands of federal agents that do a lot of things, a few of them have to worry about all the states and now even the legalized states that they now have no help there. That's how that works. And that's what, Jefferson are doing. That's bullshit.
Right. I agree. Because when he was appointed the Attorney General, I was like, that's the worst decision.
Yeah, everybody did. Yeah,
Worst decision.
nobody was on board with that.
No. He was by far Betsy DeVos as Education Secretary. I don't agree with her on a lot. I didn't care that she was the Education Secretary. I don't think that we should have the Department of Education. But so I didn't really care about that one. This one, I was like, oh God, anybody else.
Yeah.
I can name so many people that would be just much better.
Mm-hmm.
One of them ran for Attorney General here in Florida.
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah.
He would make a great Attorney General.
Yeah.
That's Bill Wolcifer, for anybody who didn't know. My good buddy, Bill. But yeah, so Jeff Sessions, stay out of these states and just leave everything alone. Let the people smoke weed. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's weed.
Yeah.
It's weed. Also, if they want to do cocaine or heroin, let them do that too, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So moving on, let's go to our grand leader.
Okay.
Our wonderful grand leader, Mr. President Donald J. Trump. He's only done 2 tweets this year.
Yeah. No, I think he's done more.
Has he done more?
Yeah.
He's done 2
There's
really...
2 crazy ones.
He's done 2 really popular,
yeah,
well-known, viral ones, in which he shows that he's, what's the word? Petulant child.
Okay, yeah.
Because he had the one where he was getting into a Twitter pissing match with Kim Jong-un.
And he tagged himself in the White House, like, pull up.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like, yep, I'm at the White House, and I've got a button, and it's bigger than yours, and it works.
I still found it funny.
Oh, it was...
Especially that people got mad about it. I'm just like...
It was hilarious. Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Most of what he
Stupid,
does,
but
I find funny, but
yeah.
At the same time, it's like, come on, man.
I still think the reactions are even worse. Like, I don't like most of those tweets, but I just think the reaction's worse. Like,
I think he does it for the reaction. he just doesn't really.
But he's smart when he comes to the media. Like, he is very smart. That's one thing you can give Trump, whether you like him or not, is he knows how to
steer the media.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious to watch.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And that's what he did today or yesterday or whatever with the other tweet.
And I didn't see that tweet.
Yeah,
you were telling me about it, but what did that one say?
He said people were saying he was unstable.
Oh yeah.
So he said, "I'm a stable genius."
Right.
I was like, "Fuck yeah." Fuck yeah, you are. And then people were so mad about it. I was like, fucking love this. I'm so...
He is the king of the trolls. He really is. And he steers the media better than any president ever. Like, with Obama, the media was just going to just report what they wanted to.
Yeah.
With Trump, they actually report what he wants them to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's insane. Like... what he has been able to do. And okay, so did you watch the latest Nicholas Vieser, or actually it's not the latest Nicholas Vieser, but the one before that where he was talking about Trump's first year?
Yeah.
Where he was like, he has actually done a lot of good.
Yes.
But everybody is focused on his tweets.
Yeah.
And now Jeff Sessions.
But you know, that's what a lot of his supporters and even myself are saying. Because I still wouldn't call myself a supporter. I just don't hate him like I used to at all.
Right. I dislike the man.
Yeah.
But I like a lot of the things that he's done.
Even though this is our first show of the year and I have to bring it out. So even though I was on CNN, talking about the things I don't like about Trump, right? Even though that happened, and obviously I didn't like him before the election, and then the election, I would vote for Donald Trump in 2018 if he does what he's been doing. I'm actually 100% honest on that. If he keeps this whole...
You mean 2020?
I'm sorry, 2020. I don't know why I said that. 2020, I would vote for him if his focus continues to be... Well, so far, he hasn't gotten us in a new war. I'm okay with that. I wish he would do more than that and make less war.
Right.
But that's good. That's good. That's whatever. That's good. I hope he does less war. Somebody tell him that, please. But if he focuses on this whole deregulations stuff and the taxes going down stuff and all of that, I freaking love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. No,
that's okay. That's okay with me.
Obviously,
if he does something I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna like that.
Right.
If he doesn't do anything about Jeff Sessions and this Jeff Sessions thing goes out of hand without him doing anything, because he does have the ability, that would be a mark against him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If he goes into another war, that's a mark against him. But if some of this status quo stuff that's gonna stay status quo no matter what the president is, that isn't like a Rand Paul president, but then he just does go ahead with just more economic stuff, that's good, and the whole tweets, him steering the media thing, what people are saying is it's a good thing. They're ignoring that he's done this stuff that they would disagree with,
right?
Because they're focusing on tweets,
right? And
I'm just like, oh shit, that does make sense,
yeah,
yeah,
and it's the tax bill went through a month ago, a little bit over a month, or a little bit under a month ago. Actually, it was right before Christmas, so 2 weeks ago. And so we haven't actually talked about it on the show. And I have a bunch of lefties on my Facebook, as do you, because the Kaba community and just general life.
Yeah.
And I disagree with a lot of them on this. On their assessment of the tax bill. I think that this tax bill is actually a good tax bill. Now, is it...
Well, also, a lot of Democratic spokespeople and representatives and senators straight up lied about it.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And all types of media wrote about this. That they... I don't know, the word is... obfuscated? Isn't that the word of, muddying the waters?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google that later.
Yeah, I think that's the word.
Obfuscated.
Yeah,
I'm
I think that's the word.
I'm gonna write that.
Yeah.
I don't even know how one would spell obfuscated.
Oh, I think it's OBFUSCATED.
Obfuscated.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
guess
think
OBF. Sure, we'll do that.
yeah, you.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Google will fix it.
Yes, yeah.
But
But you know that a lot of them like straight up fearmongered, lied about it. Stuff like the teacher's $250 credit was going to go out, but that was in only the House bill. When the Senate bill doubled it to $500,
right?
And they didn't mention that.
Yeah, and then what's her name from The Office? Pam from The Office.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna Fisher. She went off on how they got rid of the teacher bill. Now teachers have to pay for these things themselves, which they shouldn't have to, and blah blah blah.
And by that point, nothing had passed yet either.
When she posted it had passed it.
Oh, it had. Okay,
it had.
Yeah.
And then it was like people were like, no, they doubled it, and she just she didn't retract or say, oh, I was wrong.
Yeah, and I don't remember the name of the female congressman that originally sponsored that bill. Female Republican congressman. She's the one that started that $250 thing.
Yeah.
And no, let's not tell everybody about that.
No. Let's not mention it.
But people just didn't know.
And while obviously for people like you and me and many of our other listeners, this is not a perfect tax bill.
No, but it's fucking good.
But I mean, as
now the Democrats are gonna have to really run on. Hey, we're gonna raise your taxes.
I know,
really run on
I
it,
know.
not just tax the rich. It's hey, we need to raise the taxes on everybody.
Yeah, we need to screw everybody over again. But I mean, I believe it was Murray who said it, where he said, "I support any bill that will cut taxes because, well, yeah, I would prefer no taxes, but if it's cutting taxes, I'm in favor of it."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yes, that is the best way to put it. Because yeah, I am in favor of taxes being lowered 100%.
Yeah.
Now, if we can just cut spending.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we need to do that. Cutting spending is going to be the much more important.
And that was the funny thing about the Democrat reaction was a lot of Senator Bill Nelson here in Florida. God, the guy's so. I'm not saying this because he's a Democrat, but he's so senile. But I watched this guy's videos on Facebook that he would get up there and talk about the fucking taxes and all that. I'm like, you fucking don't know what you're talking about. And I just lost my train of thought on what he was talking about specifically. But it just made no sense. He was just saying stuff to say stuff. It was grandstanding, sort of. And I was just like, no, bro, that's that's not how that works, bro. Can't wait till we replace you.
Right. Yeah. It's it doesn't. Their arguments are just
wrong. Yeah, one of the.
I actually think my parents' taxes went up.
Well,
there was a very small.
Do your parents work?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So private information aside, I do know that so there are still 7 brackets. They've just shifted the numbers around for a lot of the middle brackets.
Right, and the lower the lower bracket got extended.
Yeah, but most people, regardless, got a tax break. I think it's some few middle and upper class brackets that...
Yeah, it was that kind of middle, upper, middle.
Yeah.
If you're married, you got a 2% increase or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think my parents fall in that range. But other than that, everybody else got a tax break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just all right, yeah, I don't agree with the tax increase on people, but I mean, at least almost everybody else in the nation got a break.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer for everybody to get a break and a much larger break.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, and that's one of the things I've seen people argue was, well, the tax breaks on the corporations are permanent. That's a good thing. And the ones on households have a 10-year thing on it. Have a 10-year, I forget what they call it. It was because, okay, so it's not the problem of the Republicans that it's got a 10-year limit on it. It's because of the Democrats, because what the Republicans had to do was to do something called reconciliation, which means they're going to vote on the bill with a simple majority rather than a full majority, which is 60 senators.
Right.
They voted on this with a simple majority, which that's what reconciliation is. They had to put a limit on it. So it's not the fault of the Republicans that it's not a permanent tax cut for the households. It's the fault of the Democrats. Look it up. Look up reconciliation, what it means, and how that affected the tax bill.
Exactly.
And one of the things people also confuse is tax break for the wealthy, and then they sort of shove that into corporate tax break because people assume corporation equals multi-million, multi-billion dollar, when corporation just means any corporation that's incorporated of any size.
Right, which that's like pretty much all small businesses.
Yes.
I have a couple of corporations.
Yeah.
I obviously don't make any money at them, but like
yeah,
they're
but
still corporations.
Yeah, one of our friends that is quite apolitical, one of the co-owners of Grassroots Kava Bar, Jeff, he loves it. He's like, we're getting a tax break. I was like, yes, you are.
Yeah.
And like...
And in Grassroots, they're a corporation.
Yes.
They're a corporation. They've got
20 employees.
20, yeah, not even, I don't think.
Barely, yeah, because all the owners pretty much work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've got, 5 owners and all of them work. And they're not making they're making money. They're making good money, but they're not making fantastic money because why would one of the owners be my roommate?
Yes.
And I'm not complaining about him being my roommate, even a little bit. He's a great roommate.
Yes,
I never see him. The only time I really see him is during the show, and then we move.
You guys know who the roommate is.
Yeah,
you've seen him a bunch of times.
Yeah. But yeah, he... then I moved the show into this room as opposed to the front room, so we stopped having people walk in. But we... so like, why do you want to hurt those people?
Exactly.
Like, Low Tide, they're a corporation.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you will be hurting them.
Yeah.
You'll be hurting all of these small businesses that are all corporations.
Yeah.
You're not just hurting your Exxons and your Time Warners.
Yep.
Like, I know that's the mental image you have of a corporation, but that's not what it is.
Exactly.
The vast majority of them make very little money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Razor thin profits.
Yep.
And you are trying to take it from them because they're corporated.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's that's really because and they think a corporation is that they don't think that it could be this, which like if you want to argue taxes on the rich, then argue taxes on the rich. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying don't drag. A corporation is a corporation. It's actually like a state-created entity that actually would not exist in a free market. That's just how it is.
Right.
Corporations are a government created thing. That's really how it is for a lot of legal matters and stuff like that.
Right.
Those would not exist. A company is a company, but it's also a corporation. That's how that is. If you don't argue for taxes against rich people, let's argue that. But if you're going to argue corporation, know that you're dragging into it small business owners. That's just how that is. Right. Everybody, all those businesses together are corporations. Unless you want to make another word for the bigger corporations or another word for the smaller corporations and treat them both differently. We can argue that. I'd still disagree, but what I'm trying to say is they don't realize what a corporation is. And whatchamacallit, something else that I had on. You go ahead until I remember.
Okay. But I mean, I will say that what Trump has kind of followed up with, where he's cutting funding to the UN.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, granted, not a lot of funding, but I mean, he's cutting funding. Which
255.
Right. It's a step. And Pakistan.
Yeah, and Palestine.
Yeah. Cutting funding to these places. And
well, he's threatened Palestine.
He's threatened, yeah.
For not returning to the peace talks.
Right. But So he's cutting funding to all these places, which I'm a huge fan of. I think that we need to cut most of our foreign aid and just pull out of the UN completely, because why would we fund that?
Yeah.
But I think that we need to just pull everything, like pull most of our foreign aid completely out. And, like, I know that a lot.
Put it in France or Canada.
Right.
Let them have the UN. We don't want that here.
Put it in Iceland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they'd probably take it too, actually.
Yeah, they would take it. They would take it in a heartbeat. But yeah, like I'm just not a fan of us funding these things. And like I know that my family, for the most part, is like, oh, we need to police the world. We need to be the world police.
Honestly, we don't need the UN to do that, even if that's the argument.
Right. Well, okay, so
nobody asked the UN for permission going to Iraq, dude.
I mean, we kind of did.
Did we?
We did. Yeah, Colin Powell went up there and he was like, look at all this evidence I have, and they voted against it, and they said, well, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like a lot of my family is like, we need to police the world, Team America, fuck you. And I disagree with that. I think that, no, we don't.
Yeah.
One of Andrew Heaton's last videos, not his last one, I think it was the one before that. And if you don't know who Andrew Heaton is, you can find out on Tuesday when he's our guest, if I can get my internet fixed.
Or go watch him on Reason so you know why you should watch us on Tuesday.
Also a good way to do it. He does a show called Mostly Weekly on Reason, and he wrote a very funny book called Laughter is Better Than Communism. Definitely worth a read. I got my sort of autographed copy the other day. He was talking about defense spending. And do you know how much money we spend on defense spending right now?
A lot.
A lot, yeah. $600 billion, and it's going to go up to $7 billion this year.
Oh, I didn't know if you were tricking me. I knew that.
Okay.
I was like, what does he want? Like a specific?
I mean, yeah, it's $600. Okay, so it's $600 billion, and it's going up to $700 billion this year.
Mm-hmm.
People in the military have said that 25% of our bases are useless, yet we keep them open.
Yeah.
Yet we keep them open. Why do we keep those 25% open?
Yeah.
We could close those. We could close those and bring all of those soldiers back to home, or if their bases here are the useless ones, close those and put them in some other base. Like, yeah. And then we cut this funding there, and we end up spending less money. Like, if we are cutting funding places, and we yes, the Constitution states that our government is meant to ensure our national defense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
100%. We're nearly spending $1 trillion a year on it.
Mm-hmm.
$700 billion. $1 trillion a year.
Yeah.
Do we think that Russia's going to get invaded anytime soon?
Russia gets invaded?
Yeah. Do you think Russia will get invaded?
Oh, no.
Right. They spend much less.
Oh, yeah.
Much less than us on defense.
Yeah.
And, we're not going to get invaded.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our money is going outside of a good portion of, I don't know if it's most, a good portion of our money is going outside of the country to have bases in all of these other places.
Yeah.
And we don't need that.
Yeah, we don't.
And we can cut all of that. We can cut all of that, bring all of those soldiers home, ensure the national defense.
Mm-hmm.
Ensure the national defense. Our national defense is not being insured.
Yeah.
In other countries.
Yeah. And if you add NATO to that, which I would want to get out of NATO as well.
100%.
Man, that would show a lot of these people that are obsessed with Europe, they don't know, we have some really big bases in Germany specifically.
Japan?
Yeah, Japan. Well, I want to focus on Europe.
Oh, okay.
Only to make a point that Germany, Italy, that's where a lot of the paratroopers are. They're badasses. A lot of these big welfare European countries would now have to up their own game on paying for their own security that now we're not providing, and then show me how well those big welfare states do.
Right.
Without us providing billions of dollars in security to them with our own military.
Right. Yeah.
And then obviously there's the leftist argument that goes along with that right-leaning argument for staying in the UN of we needed to talk to people, which is absolute bullshit.
Right, because, there are many organizations I'm not a part of, but I can still talk to people.
Exactly. Like you can even take that on as that's a very small community like the Kava bar. You don't like going to
Certain kava bars.
certain Kava bars, but I'm sure you associate with plenty of people that go to those ones that aren't me. You have the ability.
I do have the ability.
You have the ability. Really is really the point here.
Yeah, I do have the
Yeah.
ability. That's,
It's
that's accurate.
yeah, and it's just bullshit to assume. It's the same argument that people made against Brexit when they're like, "What about trade? What about the trade and the talks between the European
Yeah,
nations?"
now they just get
what
to
the fuck?
you get to negotiate your own trade deals. You
How do
don't
we
have to-
talk to the fucking middle? Well, never mind. The UN.
Right.
But that we did talks before the UN. You know, it wasn't necessary. And even from a UN anti-UN argument of my own, like obviously everyone's heard my views on Israel and how they're already there. I don't want them to go anywhere. That's but factually, the UN green-lighted the creation of the State of Israel. Oh, okay, so obviously they're not freaking perfect, because that's one of the very first things they did within like 3 years of their creation is green-light the State of Israel to be a thing. So like there are not a lot of good arguments for the United Nations. We don't need... We don't have telephones, internet.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can get in touch with almost anybody.
Yeah, I'm sure most of the world communicates outside of the UN anyways.
Right.
When you do unilateral talks or bilateral or even multilateral talks with other countries, you could do that without the United Nations. Definitely happens unilaterally without the United Nations. Why would you need to go to the United Nations? Why would Trump need to call up Nikki Haley and be like, "Yo, get me in touch with my boy Putin," because they're boys, I guess.
Yeah, because they're good friends. They're great friends.
Or Sisi from Egypt. He doesn't have to tell her to tell them. Yeah, that doesn't need to happen. You don't need the UN for that. The UN is there to fucking do the General Assembly meeting where they pass resolutions that don't mean anything. And then you have the Security Council with 5 permanent nations that have a veto power that includes, the United States, Russia, China, and France, and some other country that I'm forgetting. Britain. I'm going to say Britain. I guessed on 2 of these countries. Hopefully I'm correct on that, because those 5 make sense. And then you have the 10 other countries without a veto power that rotate, which so do a lot of the other United Nations councils, like the United Nations Council on Human Rights, where you have Saudi Arabia on like the council, getting in on the rotation, heading it, and it's like, what the fuck?
Why is Saudi Arabia on the Council for Human Rights?
Yeah, so like it's stupid. We can, if we want to help people with their human rights. Since the United Nations is not binding, and I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be a democratic thing for other countries to tell other countries how to do things. But since it's not, then what's the fucking point? And if we want to go and help poor people in Africa, we can do that as we do right now, which plenty of people do without there needing to be United Nations. A lot of Americans, for example, make their trips to Africa all the time to go and help the poor. A lot of churches, a lot of just non-profits that aren't religious at all, leftist organizations, everybody goes to help. You don't need the UN for that. The UN doesn't do anything.
Right.
So, yeah, that we shouldn't. And the thing is, out of all the countries in that are part of the United Nations, we pay like 27% of their money when our GDP in the world is 5%, I think. So, no. And China's there, and their GDP is a lot higher than ours. And they don't pay on a percentage the same way we do. They don't pay their fair share. I mean, I would actually mean that argument if we're all part of an organization.
Right, no, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I think the UN is a useless organization anyway. And if you want to be a part of it, cool, but I don't think that we should.
I remember what I wanted to say about taxes.
Now that we're completely off of it.
Yes, yeah, finally remember. I don't know why, I just remembered. So like now this, please share,
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
Now this and a bunch of other people have been putting out these videos by these millionaires that started their own organization where they're like, we need to be taxed more. We don't need tax breaks.
Right, pay more taxes.
So yeah, so that comes.
Pay more taxes. You can. They aren't going to say no. They
Exactly,
aren't going to be like, oh,
yeah.
no, you overpaid us. They're
Yeah.
going to be like, okay, cool, thanks.
Exactly, yeah. Part of the argument I had already made about there a lot of these millionaires and billionaires own corporations. Small businesses are corporations. So increasing taxes on corporations where a already established multi-billion dollar company has enough to pay that is fine. But like a small company that's going to struggle paying those taxes and all that, like they're going to struggle. Excuse me. And what what people aren't seeing is that these business owners want to drag small business in with them, and I'm just like, well, pay more taxes, and you don't have to pay more taxes. You can donate to Planned Parenthood, do it. You can donate to anything you want. There are so Habitat for Humanity, the USO.
You can donate to any of these.
Greenpeace. Like, there are so many things you can donate to.
Any of the organizations that are taking money from the government, taking money from the taxpayers. You can donate to all of them.
Yeah.
You can just give them money.
Yeah, or you can even write it to the government. Although I still wouldn't suggest that.
No, because
if you like your different leftist organizations, different social justice organization, the ACLU, environmentalist groups. Don't donate to what's that shitty animal organization?
PETA.
Don't donate to PETA. That's my suggestion. If you like me, don't do that. But donate to everybody else.
Right.
You can do that. Like, why would you? You don't have the ability to not do that. I don't get their argument on we don't need more taxes. I mean, you have that money now.
You can give it to
Put your money where your mouth is,
You can give
man.
it to whomever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the government to tell you we need to take it from you to give to the people we want to give it to.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, when you give it to the government, it goes to places you don't want it to
Exactly,
as well.
exactly. So, like libertarians and a good chunk of liberals and liberty conservatives really hate war. So a lot of these millionaires that are definitely left-leaning because they want to be taxed more or whatever, like, if you don't like war, why would you want your taxes to go to war and all that?
Right.
No, just seriously put every single cent of that into whatever organization you like. Even if it's like some what's that one institute called? It's similar to not the Hoover Institute. Hell no, that's Chicago School of Economics.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's.
There are liberal economic institutes. You can donate to those. That would help your political ideology out.
Right.
But you get my point.
Right. Right. You don't need the government to spend your money. You can spend it however you want and donate to whichever organizations you want.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is pretty much all the time we have for today. We actually went over. Shocker. Because that's what we do.
Yeah.
I wrote down time like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I wrote a bunch of arrows pointing to it, and he just kept going. I was like, okay, well, we're going to keep going. Thank you all for tuning in. Sorry we aren't live. I was on the phone with Spectrum, Time Warner, whoever owns that. Anyway, I was on the phone with them for like an hour, and they were like, oh, you need a new modem. And I'm like, great. So we recorded this one because we needed to get you guys an episode, and you will be able to watch it as soon as I can get somewhere I can upload it. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. We do appreciate, or watching, listening, whatever. We do appreciate it. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday when we have Andrew Heaton from Reason coming on the show. That's going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or 1500 for those of you who talk like Muhammad. Be sure to check out the new video by Mason Jefferson and like him on Facebook. You can also like us on Facebook if you haven't already at facebook.com/Muddied Waters of Freedom. You can follow us on Instagram at Muddied Waters of Freedom or on Twitter at Muddied_Waters. Once again, thank you to Low Tide Kava Bar for the kava that we drink, me a lot more than Muhammad, on the show.
Mhm.
Thank you, Low Tide. Shows up.
Bula.
Once again, thank you all so very much. Tune in Tuesday. Tune in next week, and we will talk to you all then.